Your past is like a single chapter in the vast story of your life. It may have been filled with pain, mistakes, or heartbreak, but it doesn't have the authority to define who you are. The story is still being written, and you have the power to turn the page. Too many people stop at the chapter where they fell, forgetting that the author God has not stopped writing. There is something about failure that tries to whisper lies into your spirit. It tells you that this is all there is, that you are stuck in the mess and that your story is over. But that is not the truth. The truth is, what you've been through is just a part of the process. It's not the end, it's preparation for the next level of your life. Every great story has moments of conflict, moments when it looks like the hero is defeated. But what makes the story powerful is not the conflict, it's the comeback. Your life is no different. Those moments of brokenness are setting the stage for something greater. You've got to rise above the voice that says, this is where it ends. You've got to believe, this is where I begin. Do not let the mistakes of your past define the possibilities of your future. Mistakes are lessons, not life sentences. The pain, the struggle, the bad decisions, yes, they happen, but they don't have the right to hold you hostage. You are not defined by where you've been, but by where you're going. Some people will try to hold you to your past because they don't understand your future. They'll bring up what you did, who you were, and where you fell, but don't let their opinion become your identity. You've got to stop revisiting what God has already redeemed. If He's given you the grace to move forward, don't let anyone pull you back. The pen is still in your hand. Every morning you wake up is an opportunity to write something new, something better. Don't hand over the pen to your pain, your failures, or even your critics. You are the author of your next chapter, and it's time to write with purpose, power, and determination. There is no rule that says your story has to stay the same. People may expect you to stay in that chapter of brokenness, but you don't owe anyone an explanation for your growth. You have the right to evolve. You have the right to leave the old behind and embrace the new. The chapters of your past might have been messy, but even messy stories can turn into masterpieces. What was meant to break you is often the very thing that makes you. Don't despise the process, because every chapter has a purpose. Your pain has a purpose, your mistakes have a purpose, and even your delays have a purpose. Your life is too valuable to get stuck in a single chapter. It's time to trust that the best is yet to come. Don't waste another moment looking back at what you cannot change. Look forward to what you can build, because your story is far from over. Scars tell a story that words cannot. They are the silent witnesses of battles fought, storms endured, and fires walked through. A scar is not a mark of defeat. It is a badge of survival. It says, I was wounded, but I didn't die. I fell, but I got back up. I struggled, but I overcame. Your scars are proof that you are still standing when so many would have fallen. Too often we hide our scars, ashamed of the pain they represent, but scars are not meant to be hidden. They are testimonies of strength, resilience, and grace. They show the world that despite everything you've been through, you refuse to give up. Your scars are not a sign of weakness. They are a symbol of victory. Every scar has a story, and every story has a lesson. That broken relationship taught you something about love and boundaries. That financial hardship taught you how to trust when resources were scarce. That betrayal taught you the strength to stand alone when others walked away. Your scars are not just reminders of the pain, they are reminders of the wisdom you've gained along the way. When you look at your scars, don't see the pain, see the perseverance. Scars are the evidence that healing is possible. The wound may have been deep, but it didn't stay open. The hurt may have been real, but it didn't have the power to destroy you. Every scar you carry is proof that you made it through the storm and found your way to the other side. There will be people who judge you by your scars, who look at the marks on your life and assume they know your story. But they don't know the strength it took to survive. They don't know the prayers you prayed, the nights you cried, or the faith it took to keep moving. Your scars are not for them to understand. They are for you to cherish as reminders of your journey. Some people will avoid their scars, pretending they were never hurt, but denying your scars is denying your growth. You don't have to relive the pain, but you must honor the process. Your scars show that you didn't let the wound define you. Instead, you let it refine you. You are stronger now because of what you've been through. A scar is where the healing happened. It's where you were broken but not destroyed. It's where you cried but didn't quit. It's where you felt weak but discovered strength you didn't know you had. Scars are not the end of your story, they are a new beginning. Your scars give you the power to inspire others. They allow you to say, I've been there and I made it out. You can too. Scars connect us through shared humanity, showing that no one is exempt from pain, but everyone has the potential to overcome it. Your scars are not liabilities, they are assets in your testimony. Wear your scars with pride, for they are proof that the battles you fought didn't defeat you. They remind you that you are a survivor, not a victim. You may have been through the fire, but the fire didn't consume you. The scars you bear are the evidence that you are a living, breathing miracle. You are not what they called you. You are not the names they whispered behind your back, the labels they stuck on you, or the boxes they tried to force you into. Those words might have stung, but they don't define who you are. The opinions of others don't hold the power to shape your destiny unless you give them permission. Your worth is not determined by their labels, it is determined by the one who created you. People will try to define you based on their limited understanding of your journey. They'll call you things like not good enough, too much, or not qualified, but what they fail to realize is that they don't have the full picture. They see your flaws, but they don't see your potential. They see your past, but they don't know the greatness that's coming. Don't let their small-minded labels limit your big God-given purpose. Labels can stick to you like chains if you let them, but you were not made to live bound. Break free from every word, every judgment, every stereotype that has tried to hold you captive. You are not too broken, too late, or too far gone. You are exactly who you're meant to be, and no label can take away the value that was placed on you when you were born. Sometimes the labels don't just come from others, they come from within. You've called yourself unworthy, unlovable, or incapable because of mistakes you've made or opportunities you've missed. But even those internal labels are lies. You are not your failures. You are not your weaknesses. You are not defined by the moments when you fell short. You are defined by the fact that you were created with purpose for a purpose. The world may try to slap labels on you to fit its narrative, but those labels don't stick when you know who you are. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are chosen. You are enough. The names they call you don't compare to the name that God calls you, His child. That's the only label that matters. There will always be people who misunderstand you, who underestimate you, who try to put you in a category that makes them feel comfortable. But you were not made to fit their mold. You were made to stand out, to rise above, and to defy every limitation they tried to place on you. Your identity is too big for their labels. You are not what you've been through, and you are not where you came from. The labels tied to your past have no power over your future. They called you broken, but you're being rebuilt. They called you lost, but you've been found. They called you weak, but you're stronger than ever. Let their words fall away and embrace the truth of who you are. It's time to take off the labels that have been weighing you down. Peel off the sticker of not good enough and replace it with more than enough. Tear off the tag of failure and wear the badge of fighter. Step into the fullness of who you are, unapologetically, because you were never meant to live under someone else's label. When you stop accepting the labels, you start discovering your true identity. You are not what they said you are. You are what God says you are. No label can limit you. No stereotype can confine you. And no judgment can define you. You are free. You are loved. And you are unstoppable. Brokenness can feel final, like a shattered vase that can never be whole again. But in the hands of God, broken pieces are not wasted. They are transformed. The very things that seem to mark the end are often the beginning of something greater. What you see as a mess, He sees as the raw material for a masterpiece. There's beauty in brokenness, even when it's hard to see. Those cracks in your life, the shattered dreams, the painful experiences, they allow His light to shine through. It's in the breaking that His grace is revealed. If everything stayed perfect, you'd never know the power of His healing. It's in the broken places that He does His greatest work. You might feel like your life has fallen apart, like the pieces are scattered and there's no way to put them back together. But the Creator specializes in taking the broken and making it beautiful. He doesn't just glue the pieces back together as they were. He creates something entirely new, something stronger, something better, something you could never imagine. Brokenness is not the end of your story. It's a step in the process. It's where pride is stripped away, where faith is deepened, where trust is refined. It's in the moments of brokenness that you are reminded you cannot do it alone. And that's exactly where God steps in, turning your pain into purpose and your wounds into wisdom. The world might look at your brokenness and see failure, but God looks at it and sees potential. He sees a vessel that can hold more, one that has been shaped by the fire of adversity. Your brokenness doesn't disqualify you, it qualifies you for the work He has prepared for you. It's the cracks in the clay that make it uniquely yours. Every masterpiece has a process, and the process is never easy. The sculptor has to chip away at the marble, the potter has to press the clay, and the painter has to layer the canvas with strokes that sometimes look chaotic before they form the picture. Your life is no different. The breaking is not meant to destroy you, it's meant to shape you into who you were created to be. The beauty of a masterpiece isn't just in how it looks when it's finished, it's in the story it tells. Your scars, your struggles, your setbacks, they're all part of the story. They show where you've been and how far you've come. They reveal a God who can take the ugliest parts of your life and use them to create something breathtaking. Don't despise the broken pieces of your life. They are not accidents, they are ingredients in God's plan. He is weaving together every mistake, every hurt, and every tear to create a tapestry that only He can design. The masterpiece isn't just about you, it's about the lives you will touch when they see what He's done through you. You may feel broken now, but trust the process. Trust that the one who holds the stars in the sky also holds the pieces of your life. He doesn't waste pain, He doesn't waste pain, and He doesn't waste mistakes, and He doesn't waste time. When He's finished, what felt like brokenness will be the very thing that makes your life shine as a testimony of His goodness. Life is a series of choices, and no matter where you've been or what you've done, you have the power to choose a new direction today. You may feel stuck in a cycle of mistakes or regret, but the truth is, you are not a prisoner of your past. The power to change, to move forward, to break free, it's already in your hands. Every choice you make is a seed. What you plant today will grow into the life you live tomorrow. If you don't like the harvest you've been reaping, it's time to plant something different. You can't change yesterday, but you can decide that today will be the start of something new. Your future doesn't have to look like your past if you make the choice to walk a different path. Sometimes we give our power away, blaming circumstances, people, or even fate for where we are. But as long as you are alive, you have the ability to choose. It might not be easy, and it might not happen overnight, but the power to move in a new direction is yours. Don't wait for someone else to rescue you. The rescue begins with the decisions you make today. Choosing a new direction requires courage. It means stepping away from comfort zones, breaking habits, and sometimes leaving people behind. It's not about being perfect, it's about being intentional. The life you want is on the other side of the choices you're willing to make. You don't have to have it all figured out, just take the first step. The beauty of choice is that it allows you to rewrite your story. You may have made mistakes, but you don't have to stay in them. You may have been hurt, but you don't have to live as a victim. You can choose forgiveness over bitterness, growth over stagnation, and hope over despair. Every day is an opportunity to align your life with the purpose you were created for. Your choices determine your direction, not your circumstances. You might be surrounded by obstacles, but you can choose to rise above them. You might feel weighed down by doubt, but you can choose to believe in something greater. The power of choice gives you the freedom to live beyond the limitations of your environment and step into the fullness of your potential. Every great change begins with a single decision. You don't have to climb the mountain today, you just have to choose to take one step toward it. One decision to believe in yourself. One decision to let go of what's holding you back. One decision to trust that your best days are still ahead. The power is in your hands. Some choices will be hard. You may have to walk away from what's familiar to pursue what's meaningful. You may have to say no to distractions to say yes to your destiny. But remember, the power of choice is what separates where you are from where you're meant to be. The harder the choice, the greater the reward. No one can make the choice for you. People can inspire you, guide you, and support you. But at the end of the day, the power is yours. Choose to rise, choose to grow, choose to move forward. Your life is a reflection of the choices you make, and today is the perfect day to make the one that changes everything. Shame and regret can feel like chains wrapped tightly around your spirit, weighing you down and holding you back. But you were not created to live in bondage to your past. The mistakes you've made, the opportunities you've missed, and the moments you wish you could undo, they don't define who you are. It's time to release the weight you've been carrying and step into the freedom you were meant to walk in. Regret has a way of playing the same scenes over and over in your mind, convincing you that you're trapped by what you did or didn't do. But replaying the past doesn't change it. It only robs you of the present. You can't rewrite yesterday, but you can write a new chapter today. Stop looking back at the closed doors and start focusing on the ones opening in front of you. Forgiving yourself is not about denying the pain or pretending the mistakes didn't happen. It's about acknowledging that you're human and that perfection was never the goal. Grace is the bridge between where you've been and where you're going. When you give yourself grace, you free yourself to grow, to heal, and to become better than you were before. Shame will try to convince you that you are unworthy of a fresh start. It will whisper lies about your identity, tying your worth to your worst moments. But you are not your mistakes. You are not your failures. You are not defined by what went wrong. You are defined by the resilience to rise again. The chains of shame only have power if you believe their lies. Choose to believe the truth instead. Moving forward doesn't mean forgetting. It means learning. The lessons from your past are valuable, but they were never meant to imprison you. Use them as stepping stones, not stumbling blocks. Each step forward is a declaration that your past no longer controls your future. You are free to walk into the life you were created to live. Regret often comes from holding yourself to an impossible standard, expecting perfection in an imperfect world. Release that expectation. Life is about progress, not perfection. Every mistake is an opportunity to grow. Every failure a chance to learn. But forgiving yourself is not weakness, it's strength. It's choosing to let go of what you can't change and focus on what you can. The chains of shame and regret don't break on their own. You have to make the choice to let them go. It begins with a decision to stop punishing yourself for what's already been forgiven. If grace is good enough for God, it's good enough for you. Let His grace cover your mistakes and His love remind you that you are worthy of a new beginning. The weight you're carrying was never meant for you to bear. Lay it down. Give it to the one who specializes in turning burdens into blessings. Your freedom begins when you decide to stop carrying what was never yours to hold. Forgive yourself, not because you deserve it, but because grace has already made a way. You are not a prisoner of shame. You are not bound by regret. You are free to move forward with grace, to embrace the life waiting for you beyond the chains. Let today be the day you release what's been holding you back and step boldly into the freedom and purpose that were always yours to claim. Setbacks are a part of life, but they are not the end of the story. Too often we confuse a temporary pause with a permanent place. Just because you've hit a rough patch doesn't mean you're stuck there. A setback is not a sentence, it's simply a setup for your comeback. Life will throw challenges at you, and sometimes they feel overwhelming. But don't let the weight of the moment convince you that this is where it all stops. That failure, that disappointment, that heartbreak, it's not your final destination. It's just a chapter in the book of your life, and the next chapter is still unwritten. Setbacks are teachers, not tormentors. They show us where we need to grow, how we need to adapt, and what we're truly capable of. Every time you stumble, it's an opportunity to rise stronger. Don't let the fall make you forget that you were born to stand. What looks like the end is often just a bend in the road. You are not defined by the moments when life didn't go as planned. A setback may slow you down, but it doesn't have to stop you. It's not a dead end, it's a detour. And sometimes detours lead to places you never imagined, places that are better than where you thought you were going. Failure is not fatal, and delay is not denial. Just because your plans didn't unfold the way you hoped doesn't mean they're canceled. Sometimes God closes one door to redirect you to a greater one. What feels like a no is often a not yet. Trust that the pause has a purpose. Setbacks often come with a lot of noise, doubts, fears, and the voices of people who question your potential. Don't let those voices drown out the truth. The truth is, you've overcome challenges before, and you will again. The same strength that got you through the last storm will carry you through this one. When you're in the middle of a setback, it's easy to feel like you're alone, but you're not. There's a greater power at work, guiding you, shaping you, and preparing you. The struggles you face today are building the strength you'll need for tomorrow. Trust the process, even when it feels uncomfortable. A setback is just a part of the journey, not the end of it. Don't park in a place that was meant to be temporary. Keep moving, keep believing, keep striving. Your destiny is still ahead of you, and no setback can take it away. What's waiting for you on the other side is worth every struggle. Remember, the greatest stories aren't about people who never faced challenges, they're about people who overcame them. You are not your setback. You are bigger than it, stronger than it, and destined to rise above it. This is not the end, it's the beginning of your next breakthrough. Guilt has a way of stealing your focus, chaining your mind to what you cannot change. But the future is calling, and it needs your full attention. You can't build what's ahead if your energy is trapped in the past. Guilt serves no purpose but to distract you from the destiny that still lies within you. Let it go and look forward. The truth is, everyone has something they wish they could undo, a choice, a word, a moment they'd give anything to rewrite. But no amount of guilt can alter yesterday. What it can do, though, is rob you of today and blind you to the opportunities of tomorrow. Stop giving your energy to what you can't change. Shift your focus to what you can. Your future is a blank canvas, and every moment you spend dwelling on the past takes away from the masterpiece you're meant to create. You have the power to design what's next, but that power is in the present, not in the regrets of yesterday. Don't let guilt hold the brush. Pick it up and start painting a future filled with hope, purpose, and possibility. Guilt will try to convince you that you're unworthy of what's ahead. It will whisper lies that your past disqualifies you from your potential. But guilt is a liar. Your worth is not determined by your mistakes. It's determined by the Creator who gave you a purpose before you ever made a wrong turn. What's behind you is over. What's in front of you is still unfolding. Every moment spent in guilt is a moment stolen from growth. Guilt focuses on the problem, but growth focuses on the solution. You can't move forward while looking backward. Lift your eyes to the horizon and see the opportunities waiting for you. The energy you're wasting on guilt is the energy you need to climb to the next level. Forgiving yourself is not just an act of grace, it's an act of wisdom. It's acknowledging that your future is more valuable than your regret. It's saying, yes, I made mistakes, but I am not my mistakes. Forgiveness frees you to invest your energy where it truly matters, building a life that reflects who you're becoming, not who you used to be. The guilt you carry serves no purpose but to weigh you down. Drop it. Release it. You were never meant to carry that load. The future doesn't need the change of your past, it needs the strength of your determination. Focus on the steps ahead and let grace cover what's behind. Your future is waiting for you to show up, to be present, to give it your all. It doesn't care about your guilt, it cares about your commitment. Show up with hope, show up with faith, show up with a willingness to move forward, no matter how messy the past has been. Your best days are not behind you, they are ahead. Stop feeding guilt and start feeding growth. Redirect your energy to what's possible. Plant seeds today that will grow into the harvest you've been dreaming of. The past is over, the future is wide open. It's time to give it your full attention and step boldly into what's next. There is nothing in your past that can disqualify you from the purpose God has for your life. No mistake, no failure, no bad decision can erase the plans He has written for you. Your past may try to tell you a story of defeat, but God's grace has the final word. His purpose for you is bigger, greater, and more powerful than anything you've ever done or been through. When we look at our past, it's easy to feel like we're too broken, too flawed, or too far gone to ever fulfill the greatness that God has promised. But God's purpose is not dependent on our perfection, it's dependent on His grace. He knew you would stumble. He knew you would make mistakes. And yet He still called you, still set a plan in motion that can't be stopped by your past. Your mistakes might have taught you hard lessons, but they don't define you. The beauty of God's grace is that it doesn't look at your past and say, you've gone too far. No, grace says, I'm making all things new. God has a way of taking the broken pieces of your life and turning them into something beautiful, something that fulfills the purpose He's always had for you. What the enemy meant for harm, God uses for good. You may think your mistakes have set you back, but in God's hands, they become part of the journey that leads you to your destiny. Your story isn't over because of your failures. If fact, some of the most significant parts of your purpose are birthed out of the places where you thought you'd never recover. God specializes in taking what the world calls broken and turning it into a testimony of his power. No matter where you've been or what you've done, his grace rewrites your story. The mistakes you made yesterday have no power over the person you are becoming today. It's not about where you've been, it's about where you're going. God's plans are not contingent on your perfection. They are written in his infinite wisdom, and nothing can stop them, not even your past. You might feel unworthy of what God has planned for you because of the things you've done. But the truth is, your worth was never about your actions. It was about his love for you. He saw you in your darkest moments and still called you by name. His love covers you, his grace redeems you, and his purpose for you remains unshaken no matter the mistakes you've made. God's purpose for you is not a reaction to your past, it's a promise for your future. His plans were laid out long before you were born, and nothing can change that. He has a future for you that is filled with hope, purpose, and victory. No failure, no setback, no mistake is bigger than God's plan. His grace will always be greater than your past. When God has a purpose for your life, nothing, absolutely nothing can cancel it. Your mistakes may have caused pain, but they don't dictate your future. What God has promised you is still on the table. His call on your life hasn't changed and his purpose hasn't wavered. You are still destined for greatness because his grace is sufficient to overcome everything that came before. Trust in the truth that God's purpose is bigger than your mistakes. His grace is rewriting your story, and it's one of redemption, restoration, and revival. No matter how far you've fallen, he is the God who picks you up, dusts you off, and sets you on a path toward the destiny he has always had for you. Your story isn't over, it's just getting started. Thanks for watching.